Kahani are living on through me. And so I know that my children and my great-grandchildren and children after them who are going to be carrying my name, Kahani and Yadeklitzak, I'm going to be living on through them.
This connection to the past, it's not just theoretical or mystical. It's also very practical. The Tlingit take their older generations very seriously. Dr. Whirl, and the Sea Alaska Heritage Institute are working hard to perpetuate this culture and teach it to the generations that are coming up. And that's a beautiful thing. But to understand their work and why they had to form an institute in the first place, we first have to understand the journey that the Tlingit have been on. Now, this is not a pleasant journey, but I promise you that in the end, there is triumph, and in the end, there is hope. And I believe that by making space to hear that story, we are participating in the triumph and that hope. So, it all starts 150 years ago.
The first folks who came here, who were not from this particular area, were the Russians. The Russians had a number of small settlements, and so some of the things between the Russians and the Tlingits were tense, but also potentially sustainable in a lot of ways, trade, and also the Russians had built some schools, and they were looking at trilingual schools and bilingual schools.
So in 1867, when the United States purchased Alaska from Russians, we were called the uncivilized tribes. We were uncivilized. So we came without any kind of rights to our own land. Our clan leaders met, and they had this discussion about whether they should wage war or not. And instead of waging war, they hired a lawyer, and they sent that lawyer to Washington, D.C., and he was to tell the Great White Father that if they wanted to buy Alaska, then they had to buy it from its rightful owners, the Tlingit people.
But, of course, America had already bought it from the Russians. They weren't going to pay for it twice. The transition was not easy. America even bombed 3 native villages on the coast, giving them the rare and dubious distinction of being one of the very small handful of American towns to ever be bombed by its own military. Now, soon after the bombardment of the American towns, a solution was proposed for the Alaskan problem. The United States transferred control of Alaska from military to civil authorities, and with the civilian rule came the missionaries.
And they laid out a map of Alaska, and they said, okay, we've got these major religious entities, and they just divided Alaska between these religions. Those religions established schools and laws. And some of the first things that they outlawed were use of our languages, dancing with masks, and having ceremonies. And so those things were systematically oppressed.
For 10,000 years, this was our homeland. We developed a very rich and complex culture. My own grandfather, in trying to become a citizen, he had to swear that he had abandoned his tribal ways, that he had severed his relationship with his tribal relatives, and that he embraced civilization. And then
Yes.
What term is used to describe a group of lions?
I'm also stayed home that
The
helped.
same term is used to describe a group of first and second largest living birds. Number 11. What is the body's largest major artery? What is the body's largest major artery?
Ja. Wat? Ja, nog een cruiseboot.
In plaats van 700 mensen.
Ja, dat heb ik snel. Ik stond hier al. Wat moeten we nou liggen?
Hier 6.
Ja, daar liggen al bootjes erop. Dat is bestrijden. Moet je kijken, wat fout.
Is 10:12 eigenlijk? Ja, maar
Was het toch al?
I could do this.
Oh, we're doing that for
I know, I'm seeing other stuff. And also, like you said, getting back to the book.
Not a seal in Juneau. go, good stop. Here we go.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. If he's not like, if he hadn't did any time, you know, he harmed a lot of people's lives.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Very rarely, when natural.
This is not a man-made event.
Yep. So I met David in the restaurant of all places. He said, "You guys learned 200 songs in 2 years."
Yep. It's a lot to take in.
That's crazy.
Once you get 200 songs, guys, second nature.
Yeah, sure. That's great.
so heart-lonely without you. Take my lips.
Do you guys leave today or you leave tonight?
The earth to this day, and when it coughs, we have earthquakes. This slave still hunts wild ducks to feed and strengthen Amala. Someday soon, when there are no more ducks, Amala will lose his strength thus. The clan house you are in was hand-adzed by Shindig artist Wayne Price and modeled after traditional clan houses historically seen throughout Southwest Alaska. In the far corner of the house, you'll see a small red handprint. Markers like these are an ancient tradition that signified clan ownership of the land. The glass house frame and warrior posts were created by Shindig artist Preston Singletary, and at 17 by 12 feet, the glass frame is the largest in the world. The exterior of the house features a painted day, but the youngest did not. While his brothers trained, he slept with a bed of ashes in their uncle's house. When his brothers came home, they would laugh at him.
Look at our lazy brother, sleeping in while we train.
He has never taken a bath in his life. His skin is so dirty, he looks like a mullah, a smoke hole.
Look at the wet ground where he sleeps. When you come out of the water, go into the woods and pull out one of the fresh branches of a spruce tree. That will prove your strength. Uncle, I am one who has never been, never trained, and wets the bed in your sleep.
You are too weak and lazy. Leave before you make a fool of yourself.
Amala wandered to the bay south of their house. He sat on a log disheartened. When he looked up, there stood a supernatural being whose skin shone bright.
What is wrong?
Oh, supernatural one.
My three older brothers make fun of.
My name is Lily Hope. I'm a Chilkat weaver. I was traditionally trained by my mother, Clarissa Rizal. She has now passed on and left me in the care of this knowledge. So I'm weaving, I'm in the process of spinning the warp itself that hangs as the vertical core of a Chilkat blanket. Also will become fringe, so this particular weaving will be woven to about here, and then all of this will be dance fringe that will go around the body. So there's 510 strands that will hang that way. And the pattern is in my mind right now, but this is 300-year-old techniques that have been left in my care, and there's about 5 of us that do this full time. There's a few hundred people who do this more like a hobby, so they're have full-time jobs and they do this on their weekends. And it's a lot of fun. It's a mind screw sometimes. You really have to be on your game and know what you're up to. So many things happening within it. We weave with a 3-strand braid in between colors, so there's 3 strands moving here in between. And then anytime there's a color moving here, we go 2 strands back and forth. And each time there's a color change, we hook elbows with the next color. So the blue and the black are joined right here underneath. You can see that tiny join there. And then the blue will come this way, the black will go that way. And on the underside, you can see it's the same, right? So blue is going here, it's going here. And for saving our minds, saving our sanity, we have what's called a drawstring technique. And every few rows, we can catch this. So I can weave this, hook elbows with the black hooks elbows with this yellow, and then I get to here and I can catch this and not catch it every few rows. See how that's like that?
Yeah.
And then when I'm done with this area and I've woven a bit here and I can catch the opposite there, I can cinch that together and make it a flawless join. That means that I don't have to change colors 16 times in this space. I can just do 3 in there. So that's the technology that's brilliant from how long ago, right?
Yeah.
So that drawstring really gives us the sanity check.
And if you make a mistake, you haven't got to pull it off.
Exactly, you don't have to pull the whole thing back. It's very nice. And these are traditionally, the colors in Chilkat weaving are usually yellow and blue. These are quite deeper, richer saturation. My mother said, do you want your yellow to be yellow in 300 years or white? And I said, well, I want it to be yellow. She said, then you better dye it this color. So this is an acid dye.
Okay.
These are the traditionally dyed colors. This would be hemlock bark, and we can over dye this with the copper ammonia again and get this a little bit more close to the acid black, right, the synthetic black. But this would be the border here, like in this color. Then we have wolf moss, which is toxic. If you put this on some meat and sprinkle it out for you, it'll kill the wolves. Like, don't eat that stuff. But we can dye a nice pale yellow. So this yellow will definitely be white in 300 years. And this bluish green, seafoam green, comes from copper that has been soaked in ammonia or human urine long ago. And the color of the liquid is more like this cobalty blue, but when we pour it over the yarns and then oxidize, kind of like indigo, comes out this color. So those would be the 3 colors you'd see in a robe that's 300 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty cool, huh? Traditionally, we would have used mountain goat as the core in our warp, but the processing of mountain goat is so laborious, and who's going to bring me 5 mountain goat hides? I'm not hiking up there to get them right now. So people do still hunt mountain goat for meat, and I've had a couple people bring me like segments of hides, but you actually need another person to go up and carry the whole hide down, because it's like 40 pounds with the skin attached. And then it's a whole process, hundreds of hours of work to process the wool off. Because all these guys, I can't spin with this stuff. That's the guard hairs. We want the woolly stuff on the inside, the super softy stuff. So it's really intense to use mountain goat, but that's our traditional stuff. And then I've got yellow and red cedar that I'm spinning into this. And again, this is about 50 yards. I need 1,000 yards to start the next blanket. So another 19 balls.
So that's it.
pretty inside if you like.
No flash.
No, I'm. Is this one?
I retired before I got